So the next phase of the project with Tombo was getting him to accept pets more reliably. And the easiest way to do that is to start off when they're eating, so they associate pets with eating, which is yum and good. Though you can definitely tell that he's a bit unsure of things. You can see that he picks up his head and stares at me and things like that, but it does slowly over time work. You always start with a couple fingers first so they can kind of get used to being touched. And a couple times he looks and I let him see my hand. You don't ever want to pull your hand away because he can't see in the back of his head. So if he feels someone touching him at first, it kind of concerns him because he doesn't see it. So you always want to show the hand there so he can associate the hand with that and doesn't get too scared. The next step is trying to get him to be okay with getting picked up. And that is done, again, easily when they're eating, is to slowly lift them up a little bit so they don't get too scared. As you see, he does back away, but he does come right back to the food bowl within moments, so he wasn't too scared. And as you can see, we go right back into the petting, and you can see that he is not thrilled with that as he kind of bats at my hand a couple times, and then I pull away for a few moments, let him calm down, and then we go right back to it. Here, we're letting him learn that he can be touched in different areas, like on the side of his body and stuff like that, and that also takes time to get used to as he backs away, but then he does come right back to eating. So he may be a little uncomfortable, but doesn't scare him completely away. And here I'm touching his back end near his tail, because again, people will pet tails, so we want to get him used to being touched pretty much all over, so that when a kid touches his ears or someone gently pets his tail or his feet, he doesn't wig out, and he gets used to that. So that is the point of that. And the other thing you need to remember is you don't want to push too hard. You want to push a little bit. You want to get him right to that line, and if he backs up, let him back up, let him come right back, wait a couple seconds, and go right back into the petting, which is what I do here, as you can see. And especially in the beginning, you will see that he's a little bit fearful of big giant people coming near him, which is why he bats at my hand a couple times here as I'm turning the dish, but yet I turn the dish to let him see more food, and maybe it's just not as bad as he thinks it is. And pretty much there, he's left the bowl about 90% of the food, and he's like, this is just not worth it anymore. But that was his very first petting while eating, and he did a very good job at it. And every day it's a little bit easier. And here's a picture of Tombo watching us play with Kiki, getting somewhat interested in it, which peaks the second phase of his getting comfortable with humans. So now that we can see that he's interested in playing, we can start the play process, which is still keeping him in his crate for now because he is way too scared and would run and hide near instantly, but showing him the feather toy, moving it back and forth and getting his attention in the beginning, and letting him feel comfortable enough to reach his little paw out to grab at it and stuff like that is the first steps of getting him used to being around humans more and more comfortable. And in this middle section here, you can see him actually sitting up and actually getting into play a little bit, batting at it, and just getting more and more comfortable with us being around and losing the fear a little bit that he's playing and got something else to focus on his mind presently. And this last clip is him actually getting out of the bed, playing a little bit, having some real fun, and really getting into play for once, and actually losing where he is and his fear a little bit, and having some final fun at the end of the week. And we are just so happy to see this as the progress continues.